Oh, no kidding. Yeah, I felt like Nick Player and Farfluid kind of went back and forth. I think Farfluid made some good skips, item checks, and ended up coming out in the lead there. But yeah, and Sumu right behind Nick Player, and just unfortunately, was that like a double hit from the catch-up, or I couldn't even tell, but
I think even a
uh,
single hit from that catch-up will put you below the 3 E-tanks necessary to absorb Mother Brain.
he did have four, but I'm thinking maybe he took too much damage trying to do the Zeb skip, so
Yeah.
maybe that's what it was. But yeah, pretty unfortunate. But yeah, yeah, I had a Fourth of July weekend here as an American, and
Yep.
just hung out with some friends, and their neighbors were shooting off fireworks, so we had a good time Friday, and had a bit of a late night, so that's why we postponed the podcast to today.
Yeah, no, not a problem. And I mean, I was just at home and everyone was firing off fireworks around me, so I get to enjoy them from a distance.
Hey Fifi, welcome in.
Welcome in, Fifi. All right, so let's get the podcast going, I think. So I'm going to change here to this and this. So the first thing that we wanted to kind of go over was basically what light area rando means, right? Because there's a lot to digest with light area rando. But we're going to be talking about, as Anfani was saying, it is light area rando, major minor, no
Random start,
random start, um, hidden
single.
objective. So you have a single
Yep.
objective. So you have to find Tourian to know what your objective is, and then it's fast Tourian after that, right?
Or this one's Notorian.
This one's
Yeah.
no Torian. So you still have to find Torian, but you don't have to go through Torian.
Right. And yeah, so that's why we, kind of calling it like the frantic search for Torian, because with that light area rando, Torian is always connected to criteria. So there's a few places you can randomly start, like Green Bryn, Pink Bryn, uh, Business Center. Ceres, I think, might be one of the ones on here as well. So you don't necessarily start in criteria. So one of the first things you want to do is kind of get your morph and whatever ammo you need to get to the next area. All right, Ceres is off, which makes sense, I think, because starting off in Ceres would make it, or criteria would make it to where you find criteria like immediately, and you can get to Torian
Hmm.
pretty quickly. So yeah, just finding out what that objective is kind of your main objective at the beginning, so that you can figure out what items you need uh, and like what route you should take in order to get to the area. So
Hmm.
one thing I found kind of funny was how often Croc ends up being the objective, and I'm not entirely sure why that ends up being the case, but yeah, the two seeds I end up playing as kind of like background for this ended up both being Croc as the objective, and then I think the last like actual race that happened was also Croc.
Hmm.
So Croc is a pretty good chance of fighting Croc. So it's kind of interesting, and it was also kind of interesting to see side by side like what I do differently depending on what items I get and where I start and everything. So there's definitely some interesting comparisons for those. But yeah,
Yeah,
so I
definitely.
think yeah, I'll go ahead and get started explaining area rando a little bit. So for those unaware, what area rando is these different transitions that you can see here. Uh, they connect in random ways, and depending on what type of area rando you have, it'll randomize it in a different way. So
And I believe
anyone
that
like
the setting
yeah.
that we use, there are certain areas, so like criteria, for example, will always have a link to Green Brinstar and to Rex Ship. Am I right?
So that's yeah, with light area rando that is the case. So to kind of start off the explanation, I went ahead and marked where all the vanilla connectors are. So, this is the moat here that connects to the wreck ship. Wreck ship connects to the back of East Meridia. Front of East Meridia connects to the like aqueduct door here in West Meridia. And so, yeah, I thought, just to kind of give you this idea of what it looks like in the vanilla sense. I think it makes it maybe a little bit easier to see how the light area of the works as well, because the number of connections to these areas is vanilla, but where the connectors lead is not. So that's one of the interesting things about uh, you know the area rando. Yeah, and like one of the skills in doing these is learning how to use a tracker like this. So I definitely recommend for people to use some sort of area random tracker. Varia has one built in to the website. It could be a good place to start. I'm using this one here, which is let's see, I forget the name of it. It's
You linked it.
P-
It is
yeah, PDZ's 34 Super Metroid Area and Boss Track.
I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah, so for anybody who needs a tracker for area rando, I recommend this one. It's really nice. It's got some other options, and you can just easily reset it. So there's a lot of nice little quality of life features. But yeah, it looks a bit confusing just seeing all these lines kind of going back and forth.
Hmm.
One thing I like to do is disable any connectors I don't plan on revisiting, just
Hmm.
to make it a little less busy.
And if you're
But yeah,
watching this in the future, make sure I'll try to remember to put the link into the description of the YouTube video.
yes, that'd be good. But yeah, so now that I've kind of shown this and kind of shown like where all these different connectors are. Oh yeah, and I think it's kind of cut off on the screen, but if you hover over one of the connectors, it tells you what the connector is called, so you might have a better idea of where it is exactly.
Hmm.
But
Yeah,
yeah, so
definitely go grab it and play with it yourself. Try and play with how the connectors could connect together before trying one of these races. That way, you get an idea of how the tracker actually works. Um, but so we have Criteria as a area. We have Green Brinstar as an area. We have Wreck Ship as an area. We have Red Brinstar as its own area. We have West Meridia as its own area, East Meridia as its own area, Crade, Tourian, Crocomire, Upper Norfair, and Lower Norfair.
yep. And so I think just to kind of do like a brief little tutorial, like so with light area, what we're going to find is, one area is going to connect to wreck ship. So it could connect like that. This
Mm-hmm.
is a meme route. So meme route could connect to the back of wreck ship. Totally viable. But what that means, and you can kind of start using like your process of elimination a little bit when you're doing these light area, is now this front of wreck ship has to connect to one of these East Meridia entrances. So
Yep.
let's say it connects to that. And so criteria connects to Tourian. There's two connecting to Green Bryn, and there's also one to Red Tower. So we could do something like this.
Start really mixing it up.
Yep. And then the Green Bryn, one of them has to connect to Red Bryn. So I could say it goes there. And then there's quite a few connections from Red Bryn to West Meridia. So we got this one, and this one all in vanilla connect. So it could be somewhere like here. And so since we have all these connections, that means that this last West Meridia needs to connect to East Meridia,
Mm-hmm.
and this last Red Bryn needs to connect to Upper Norfair. And Upper Norfair has two connectors to Lower Norfair, one to Croc and one to Crade.
So as long as you know the amount of connections, you can kind of start figuring out, okay, these last couple of doors go to another place I want to get to closer to. The thing that's really important about this mode is regardless of where you start on the map, you kind of want to start exploring your different door transitions and find the ones that start leading towards criteria. So for example, if you started in um and I'm probably going to put this completely wrong. And funny, help me out on starting location here, somewhere that's far away from criteria.
Red Bryn has one connector, Green Bryn has two. Business Center, I can't remember if that one is on there. I probably should load up the settings. I'm being unprofessional here.
It's all good, but I think you're right. Business Center is one of the starting locations. And I'm sure Remok Tourist will correct us or help us out here as well.
Yes, it is, and also Rec Ship.
Yep. So
Okay.
say business center is where you start out. So you have five different connections that you can check to see where they go. One of those connections is going to Red Brinstar, one of them's going to Crade, one of them's going to Crocomire, and two of them are going to Lower Norfair. So you really want to find the one going to Red Brinstar to get you closer to Criteria. Say you find that one that's closer, you find the Red Brinstar connection immediately, and you're like, okay, great, now I'm a little bit closer to criteria. Now I want to find my connection that's either Red Brinstar to criteria or Red Brinstar to Green Brinstar, depending on how I'm feeling about searching for that door. Because that last door could be in a really bad location, or you could not have the right items in order to get to that door.
Yeah, and I think thankfully with like all the Varia, and anti soft lock patches and everything, I think the only requirement to check all the Red Bryn Star doors is power bombs for the tube, but the tube you can only check once unless you have like high jump or spring ball or
Hmm.
gravity. So that's one you gotta kind of take like as a all right. I'm checking this just to see what it is. I probably won't commit to going any further than just checking it, but at the same time, if it ends up being taking into criteria, that could open up some interesting implications where like it expects you to go through Green Bryn or something like that. Maybe some logical power bombs or something are hidden away in Green Bryn or Red Bryn, and you end up skipping that. I guess you can't skip with power bombs, but anyway, there's things like that. But yeah, so I think we got a pretty good handle on this area randomization now. I guess we could just do like a brief little, talk about how the full area rando works, but we won't actually go that far into it. So with full area, any connector can connect with any connector, so you can get some weird stuff. Here, I'll do one of these.
Yeah, so it's not one of those where you kind of know which way to go. You really do need to explore every single door. And like you said, we're not going to go too far into it. I do want to quickly mention, though, that with Area Rando, I don't know if it's in general or if it's just Light Area Rando does this, but some of the one way doors. So, for example, in Green Brinstar at the Sonic Hill Zone, Green Hill Zone, there's a one way door that gets removed in light area rando so that you can go both ways through Green Hill Zone and not have to worry about having wave. I believe the same is true for the upper to lower Norfair escape fall through blocks. And then there might be a few other of those kind of like one way areas that are no longer there to allow players to check the door both ways.
Right. Yes. I think they're just called like area patches in the settings, but yeah, it allows you to get to the back of Lower Norfair entrance in Upper Norfair, and yeah, some of the green gates in like East Ocean in Wreck Ship. There's like a nice little platform that gets put up there for you as well.
Hmm.
But yeah, Reem, yeah, Sinath was talking about the gate, not
Yep.
the actual door. Yeah.
Right, right, right.
Mhm. But yeah, actually, yeah, and Reem says that he wasn't sure if areas can connect. They definitely can. I've had it happen before in full area, but in light area, they definitely can't, because no area connects to itself in vanilla.
Um, what else is always connected? So yeah, we've already gone over all the different, what else can be always connected. So it's vanilla to vanilla. So criteria always has two entrances to one place. You get the idea. And mix those two entrances up with another place, but it's always going to have two entrances. You know what I mean? I'm explaining it very
Yep.
badly.
Yeah, there's like the vanilla number of connections is kind of how I like to phrase it. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, there's that number, but where the actual connectors are is random. But yeah, then in full rando, it can be just about anywhere. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the most fun is when Correct Ship connects to East Meridia, and then East Meridia connects to Lower Norfair, and then Lower Norfair connects to either like a Boss or Tourian. So that means you got to go like all the way through those major areas and stuff like that. But thankfully, it's less likely to happen like that in light area. So that's another kind of nice
Mm-hmm.
part about that light area. But yeah, I think we've pretty much covered all the interesting little bits of the area, Rando. So
Yeah.
yeah, if you're doing these, I highly recommend getting a tracker like this. I'll just put that out there again. But yeah, I guess we can kind of go move on to some of the more uh, you know setting specific stuff now for this particular setting.
Yeah. And I mean, this is setting specific, so it's just there's a lot to talk about with light area rando. But let me
Oh yeah.
get that up and then mute it so that I don't hear you twice again. Every single episode, I have to do that.
Yep. But yeah, so let's see. Don't quite remember where I started off in this first one, but as we were saying, you can start off in Green Bryn Elevator, Big Pink, Wreck
Hmm.
Ship, Business Center, and Red Bryn Star Elevator.
So you actually had three seeds here. You had your first one, which you rolled, and it gave you the objective without having to visit Torian because you had forgotten to put on that mode. So we're going to see that really quick, and then you're going to reset to the second seed, which is the one that you play through, and then you play through a third seed after that. And you told me that your objective in this one, the first one, ended up was killing Dragon, and then we won't talk about what the objectives are for the next two because don't want to spoil it. But the next two ended up being the same objective.
Yep, Rima, I fell for the not double loading the presets because I loaded and it just told me to kill Dragon. I'm like, oh wait, I messed that up. But yeah, I guess while we're waiting for that to start up, we can kind of go over what objectives there are. So last season we had this single-headed objective, but it was full area, and so it was even more of a hunt for Torian. Since Torian could have been connected to just about anywhere, so
Hmm.
you definitely spent a lot more time not knowing what objective you were going to do. But it also had some of the kill enemy objectives where it's like kill all yapping malls, kill all cack attacks, kill all key hunters. But I think players ended up deciding that those were kind of annoying in terms of like all the places you have to go to kill the enemies, and in some cases like cack attacks, you have to kill Dragon
Hmm.
and have all the items required for that in order to get to Cack Alley and the other small cack room that's got the four guys in it, because all that's locked behind Dragon. So it made for some kind of annoying seeds. So we decided to take that out. So now we're left with kill Ridley, kill Dragon, kill Fantoon, kill Kraid, kill 2G4, kill 3G4, kill 2 mini bosses, kill 3 mini bosses, kill GT, kill Spore Spawn, kill Crockermire, kill Botwoon, and then we kind of move on to some of the more memey ones. We got Tickle the Red Fish, kill the Orange Schemer, kill Shack Tool, visit the animals, and activate Chozo robots. Oh yeah, and there's also collect 50% items. So that Chozo robots one is you gotta wake up all the Chozo robots, and I think that includes GT, but it definitely includes the acid Chozo that and lower Norfair. And I believe in most settings, if not all, space jump is required for that Chozo robot. I'm actually not too sure if it is required in this one.
So
Let's
with
see.
random start, Wreck Ship gets added to this from our research as far as one of the starting locations. And then let's talk about what the difference is between major minor and what we talked about in one of our previous episodes, Chozo. So there are 32 major upgrades or major locations that you can get. That's all the suit upgrades, all your beams, everything that you can get that Samus makes her more powerful. That's everything that's on your top bar, um, except for ammo. It's all your E tanks and all your reserves. So the remaining 68 minor locations are all ammo. The only thing that is changed, or I should say that is guaranteed early on in quote unquote majors, is ammo. And I believe you had told me that Chozo has 10, 15, or I'm sorry, 15 missiles, 10 super missiles, 5 power bombs as far as guaranteed. I don't think you told me how much Major Minor has.
Yes, let's see. So major minor, there's actually no ammo mixed in with the major items. So the logic like expects you to pick up some minors in order for like power bombs or supers or missiles to become in logic. While Chozo requires you to pick up the ammo from the Chozo statues in order for it to be considered in logic.
Mhm.
So that's kind of the interesting little twist that Chozo has there. But yeah, major minor is just everything's logical. So you gotta check your minors so that you get at least one of each ammo, and especially in these settings, you want at least one super pack and one power bomb pack, so you can check Mimir out. You can check uh, the two areas to the right of the ship. You need a super for that. So, and yeah, power bombs for meme route, and also some sort of bombs to get past the little blocks here to get to Terminator. So those are very important. And since I at this point I'm checking kind of the higher density areas. So I know that there's two locations over here. So I'm checking these before I'm checking
Mhm.
meme route, which is a much slower check here.
And so Chozo also the way that works, and we didn't really cover it. You have 16 suit upgrades that are going to be on Chozo statues, 3 E tanks instead of all E tanks, 1 reserve instead of all reserves, and then like I said, 15, 10, 5 instead of all ammo. I'm sorry, 15, 10, 5 instead of 0 ammo is going to be on
Right.
Chozo statues. So the split ends up being 3268 in major minor and 2674 in Chozo.
Yeah, and so that kind of makes it to where major minors got like more locations that you should check.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you want to kind of stick with those for the most part. Maybe some faster minor checks so that you can get some ammo in case the objectives end up being something like kill Ridley, because kill Ridley probably got the most requirements
Mm-hmm.
in these settings because you need, worst room in the game, you need enough ammo or charge and for Ridley and health and Varia. I think gravity is in logic, but maybe not necessarily needed, but very helpful for that damage reduction.
And that's kind of coming into how we want to channel WX fan here. Save early, save often, because you need to go down each of these one-way streets, not knowing what's at the other end. And we got Slake Rockemeyer, by the way, on this seed. um, but you don't know what's at the other end of that one-way street, and it could kill you, it could set you back multiple minutes. Not to mention if you have to double back because that end up being a one-way street that you can't go down, Now you have to double back and risk dying on your way back because you didn't save.
Yeah, and meme route in particular can be very dangerous without any suits or e-tanks. As you can see, that hopper did 80 damage. So any more than one hit on the way out is enough to kill you there. And yeah, talking about pivot saving. So I saved to the ship after getting to it, and then I checked those two locations by Tourian and Greenbryn connector, and they ended up not being Tourian. So I just reset and went to meme route because it ended up being faster. So yeah, and I guess like the things that you're kind of thinking about now that you like know what your objective is, you start thinking, what do I need here? What do I need in order to get this objective?
Mm-hmm.
And this is where the area rando kind of starts kicking in a little bit too, because vanilla, the only thing that you need to do is, especially if you find speed, is just make it straight to that croc entrance. But with the fact that croc could be at any connector in Upper Norfair, that means you need to be able to get through the Hell Run to Bubble Mountain, and then, or could anyway, and then the one down to Lava Dive, the one to back of Norfair. So we definitely want some health if we don't get Varia here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It's one of
definitely.
the few times that hell runs are way faster than trying to find Varia is in instances like this, and Bounty Blaster is another good example where hell runs like actually really come in handy. But yeah,
So
so go
these
ahead.
these seeds end up being really jetty because you know how to get to certain areas if you if you know how to use your tracker and track what areas are connected to each other. So knowing that Red Bryn is always connected to Criteria and Criteria is always connected to Tourian, you can get over to Tourian, check your objective really quickly and say, okay, I know this is my objective now, as long as that objective isn't like collect 50% of items, which I don't know if there's another objective that would make it even longer. Maybe kill all of the G4 if that was one that popped up. Um, those are like the longer versions, but I don't know if this is just something that Reem can help confirm with me or not. If it's a function of it being Smrat logic that causes the seed to try and make it as fast as possible, because every single seed that we've seen so far, at least to my knowledge, has been really jetty.
Yeah, it's definitely been most of them. Yeah, I think maybe it's just because it's random. There's only like so many things it can put ahead of the objective before saying, okay, like we should we make this a harder, longer seed or something. I don't think that's all built in. So it's just a matter of randomness in the settings, and it just
So
yeah. Oh
Chozo
yeah.
robots would be another example of a
Oh
slow
yeah,
seed.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because you need morph bombs, you need space jump, you need to kill Fantoon to get to bowling. There's
So maybe
quite
this
a bit
is
of requirements.
one where you have to kind of not go in with that expectation of this could be a jet, this could be what we call a ream seed, where it's really jetty in the front, and then you get to your objective and you're like, oh no, this is going to be the worst.
Oh, okay. That's kind of interesting. Reem says that first it rolls the areas, then it in the items, and then it does the objectives.
And no, it does the objectives first. He says after the objectives, it does seed area items.
After all that, the objectives. That sounds like you're saying the objectives last, but
Oh, after all that, I missed that. I
yeah, yeah, yeah.
apologize.
All good. So yeah, that kind of makes sense. Like it just does a normal seed and then just adds the objectives to it. Seems like less complicated as a programmer.
Yeah, definitely. Um, So, but yeah, these seeds could be really fast. It could be really slow. There's kind of really no expectation there. But the couple of seeds that Funny ended up playing ended up being Jets, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think one was like 15 something, the other one's 17 something. Like,
Yeah, they were not long seeds.
and I think one of the early ones I played, it was like clear green Bryn or something like that, and it gave me uh speed like really early. So
Isn't this also the
yeah,
same mode that Kaizenton and WX have the world record on, where they killed Crocomire inside of 5 minutes?
or yeah, that was last season single headed objective, and it was yeah, Kraid. They ended up killing Kraid like
And that was a Chozo
uh
version of this. So the difference here
right.
is this is Major Minor instead of Chozo.
Yep, and then last season's was also full rando. So Kraid was like connected to Criteria, so it was like a very very fast one. And there could be some argument possibly for definitely for last season to maybe do some objectives along your way as long as they aren't like too out of your way.
Hmm.
So like especially with Chozo, like clearing Green Bryn, you might find some good majors. It could be the objective. Same with Criteria. But in this season, it I don't think it makes sense at all to do any of the objectives before finding out what it is,
Hmm.
and just making your way to Criteria.
And we do have a spoiler for next season. This is going to turn into full countdown door color rando single handed objective.
Okay, yeah. I think we had like the door rando with the scavenger, and especially with the number of scavenger locations we had, it ended up being kind of a stifling seed. And we ended up changing it to I think like half the number of objectives, and we had our first race of that. I think it was yesterday, and it or was it Tuesday or something like that. But we ended up. It seemed like all the racers enjoyed that a lot more than just like the go here next, go here next, go here next. So
Yeah.
yeah, we'll probably have to do a short little recap on how that's changed and what the implications of it are. You think Jake liked it? Well, yeah, he chose to do the crystal flash. So I bet if he had gotten it first try, he would have liked it. Uh, yeah, Jake Break had to spend like 15 minutes trying to do that crystal flash without having found the you know speed or ice to get through bot wound. So, but anyway, yeah, back to these settings. Yeah, so like I guess we kind of go back to what I was saying before on uh like once I found the objective, I'm just like, all right, I need some energy. I need some ammo to kill Crocomire. Finding speed and Varia would be very nice. So I'm just kind of going through and finding my connector to Upper Norfair here, um, and that's just pick up some items along the way. So like I'm checking this one down here because while it's not going to be any energy or anything like that, it's still going to give me a bit more ammo. And if I need a crystal flash, I think that's the main reason I'm going through here. I'll still have enough ammo to kill Crocomire after a Crystal Flash. And with, with both of these being supers, that ended up uh, being extremely helpful. Because two E tanks, if I have to do that hell run to Bubble Mountain, very, very tight. So, getting this, guaranteed ammo for Crystal Flash makes it a bit more tempting to do this hell run. And I think I'm just kind of assuming at this point that it's going to be a hell run, and I've already checked all the other connectors, so I know that one of these is going to have to connect to Upper North Fair.
Hmm.
And if it's somewhere bad, like probably the lava dive entrance would be kind of worst case scenario here. Just a kind of a long hell run, and then that's what it ends up being.
Hmm.
So without space jump or grapple, I have to go up to the left here. Like I said, with
So
two E tanks, it's a little spicy. But yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. You were saying this, and you're explaining now why what you were doing here, Red Tower and into Upper Norfair, could punish you. Because if Croc is easy to get to right here, that means that your escape ends up being in the reverse direction, without that suit.
Yep. So even if you can kill Crocomire, getting back could totally kill you. So yeah, and this is definitely yeah, I think this is probably the worst the worst place to connect and be able to get through without having Varia.
Hmm. Um, the other thing that I noted on here was, do we want the seed to be longer, or is this having the setting be short and sweet and nice? And I mean, now knowing that it really could be longer, depending on what the goal ends up being once it gets rolled, I think it's a good mix as far as like short versus long. I don't know that there's other seeds that could be this short, but this is definitely one of the ones that can be very short depending on what the objective is.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm not too sure how we would make it like a longer seed. I don't know if like a late morph would do something, but then I think, some of the areas kind of get
Hmm.
knocked out or they end up having the exact same items every time if we, take out that like early start morph.
Hmm. Not to
Yeah,
mention, the seed. If you did late morph, that makes the long seeds like do all the Chosen robots even longer.
right. Yeah, and like I definitely because the last season with the full area rando, it ended up just taking too long to get to Tourian. So I don't know how you'd find a nice little middle ground between
Hmm.
uh, that full area and light area. I think Reem did a good job with the random start definitely helps make things take a little bit longer. Um, yeah, I can't really think of a good way of making this slower. I guess not making it major minor, but I don't know. I think with these kinds of settings, it makes sense to have either chose over major minor or full countdown like we're doing
Hmm.
next season. But
Yeah, definitely. The other cool thing though about this mode is that you can do something that where you kind of carried over from the map rando tournament, which is guessing the escape time.
right, yeah. So I'm trying to remember how exactly Varia calculates that with the area rando involved. I'm not sure if it does like a room to room calculation or if it just assumes a certain amount of time depending on what area you're in. Because I feel like with light area, it kind of would make sense to just kind of do it the vanilla way of, oh, well, you're in this area, you got this much time to escape.
Hmm.
But yeah, here I end up finding another E-tank, which will be extremely helpful for my run back to Criteria here. Because we the only way to get back to Criteria here is to go through Upper Norfair the same way we came in.
Yep. In your second seed, which I don't think we're going to be ending up being able to show, you did find Varia, and you did find that your objective was Crocomire. Did a double take, and you're like, "Wait, is this?"
It's just the same seed. It's like, no, I got different items, so it's definitely different. I started in a different place, but yeah. Uh,
But yeah, no, this I really like this mode. It's really cool. It's really fun to watch. It's really fun to like play along with the racer and say, okay, how long do I have to get out? I think that's a nice little like chat game to put at the very end. Not to mention guessing where if we're gonna be finding either suit or no suits at all, because these seeds really could be no suits at all. Um, yeah, there's I think these seeds are a lot of fun.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed this more than last season's variation. It feels a little bit closer to how you would approach a bounty blaster, um, especially with like getting. I like these ones where you play with like minimal uh, stuff, like
Mhm.
in classic and anywhere where you're pretty much guaranteed to have to either find gravity to get to Dragon or find Varia to get to Lower Norfair. Uh, you pretty much have to get those. So it's nice to have these seeds where you have the option to not pick up any suits, and it ends up being the faster option in most cases.
Definitely. Well, with that, I think that's gonna wrap up this episode. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we've gone over a lot of the main things, and I think just having somebody describe how Area Rando works and kind of show off what how the trackers work and everything like that, I think is a big part of understanding these settings. So I think we've done a pretty good job of covering it all.
Yeah. So who is doing a thing that I can raid? Because I want to go raid someone. But thank you so much for watching. Thank you for checking us out as usual and sticking around for the podcast. If you want to see more, definitely give us a good follow. Subscribe to the channel if you're on YouTube and watching this in the future. And we'll see you next mission. I'm going to be raiding